Welcome back to another Q&A the Librarian Way. My name is Emily from the Gnoming Librarian.
And I'm Julia from Stylish in the Stacks.
And today we're talking personal mission statements. I'm a part of the Indiana Library Leadership Academy's cohort of 2014, which is a big long thing, but it's pretty cool. If you have any interest in future leadership or you would just like to gain leadership skills, it's definitely a program you should check out. But I had to go for a week-long retreat where they put me up in a suite, which was kind of nice. I got my own suite.
Awesome.
But we had, for about 5 days, we spoke with this lady that works at Kent State, teaches at Kent State in the library program, and then she's also a regional director in Ohio, and she just talked to us about leadership skills. And one of the things that she really emphasized was the idea of creating your own mission statement. And I know we've talked about goals before, but I thought this was just kind of an interesting take on it. And what it allowed us to do was really kind of pinpoint what we're most passionate about and to make sure that we are creating goals outside of the walls of our library,
Mm-hmm.
the goals we have to create and the goals we want to create. So I thought we would talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah, and I think it's easy in a social media world to look at what everyone else is doing in their library and just feel overwhelmed that you can't compete with that, or you don't know what they know and you're not as good as them in some way. And it's taken me a few years to realize that I don't have to be good at whatever Emily's doing, because I might have a different personal mission in myself and in my library, and I should embrace that and go after that. And I've started noticing just in the last few years how my personal mission has really caught wind, I guess, with my students, and they have really embraced it and kind of gone with it as well. And so that's something to celebrate and enjoy and realize you don't have to be like everybody else. Or have the same mission as everyone else. I mean, libraries are all trying to do the same thing, but in different ways. So.
And I think one thing I feel it in the public library, but I also know that we have more freedom because we're not stuck in the curriculum box, the standards box.
Yeah.
So when I look at media specialists and I see all of the great things they're doing and the scavenger hunts they're creating and the technology programs that they're planning, it's really impressive to me that they're doing it within this box that you're really toehold into. I mean, you can't really escape. So I think that's what makes it even more important to create that thing that you're passionate about. That I'm doing this for work because these are the standards that I have to follow. But then this is for me, and it will come into your library anyway if you're passionate about it. And I think that's really important. So what is one of your what would be on your personal mission statement?
I think my personal mission statement is all about connecting with books and authors, and I think that's what got me excited about being a librarian, and that was something that was kind of hard to do growing up. Connecting with an author was really difficult, if not non-existent. And so my personal mission every year is to somehow connect with some authors, whether it be tweeting with them or having an author visit or going to an author event like we talked about Y'all Fest last week, and sharing all of that with my students. I mean, when I met Ruta Cepedes, and I've told that story before, but like when I met her, I couldn't wait to come back and tell Mr. Campbell's 6th period class about it, because they were going to be just as excited about my experience as I was. And because of that, because they've really talked about how awesome it is to connect with these authors that are like my celebrities, I see students embracing that too. Students not only reading a book, but talking about it afterwards and what the author was thinking, and them even tweeting the author, and just really embracing this whole community in the young adult literature world. And part of me has felt guilty before. Is that too old school to be like, I'm a book librarian? I'm not as strong in the technology as I could be, and I get a little overwhelmed by it. I learn it when it's needed, and when teachers need it, I'm there for them and I'm pushing it and encouraging it. But that's not as much my mission as books, but I'm okay with that. I mean, that's a big part of libraries too, and we don't want to forget that either. So.
And I think knowing your library and your school and your community, that if that was playing a bigger part, then you would know that you would need that. But it hasn't played that big of a part yet. So.
Right. And because of that, one of my goals every year is to get every kid in this building to find one book that they've loved. And we've really done a good job with that. I feel like we're just having so many more conversations with students saying that they had never read a book before, they'd never found a book they liked before, and they finally did. And so I think it's been a really healthy personal mission for us, so.
I like it.
Yeah.
Mine is more community building. I really see my library as kind of a community hub, a place where local businesses can come and use this, and community organizations can come and meet, and we can start to build relationships with them. And it's not always easy for me. It's something that I have to work on all the time because I'm not a small talker. Like here, like in front of the video camera, I look extroverted and I'm like, hey, let's go do this. But when it comes to small groups and small talking and mingling, I am terrible at it. I'm uncomfortable with it. I never know what to say. So I've really had to push myself.
Which is a bummer because you have such great ideas. And I'm like, Emily, you just have to say it out loud.
And I don't.
You don't.
But that's one thing that I've really worked on, and I love the idea, though, of building those relationships in the community. Like I just had a great conversation with a community group that's in our county seat, Franklin, and they're called Youth Connections. The camera died, so now we are taping with an iPhone that is sitting in a stapler on top of a tripod. So
see, we didn't say we were great at technology.
No. Hey, it had 2 bars when we started. I thought we were going to have enough juice, and now I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, community building. Yeah. So they no longer were doing things in the middle school, and they couldn't figure out where all the kiddos went. And then I was like, well, all the kiddos are at my library.
Yeah.
So I got to have this great conversation with them, and now they might start programming at the library. We might offer classes, and it was just this opportunity to build this thing that wasn't there before because there hadn't been that communication out in the community.
And I'm sure people want to get involved or want to do things. It's just opening the lines of communication.
So that is something that I'm really passionate about, and I think one important thing that that everybody needs to recognize is that sometimes these things might take you out of your library, and I think that's great. I mean, it shouldn't consume all of your time because what's happening in your library is super important, but if it's something you're passionate about that will affect your library in a way, then you should definitely make that a priority and make sure that those goals are on your yearly goals whenever you have to make those.
Yeah, and if it gets you excited about the library world, it can only benefit your library program. It's just going to bring more excitement and invoke more conversations. I mean, I still have students that will come in my office and say, is that a picture of you with John Green? And immediately we're just rolling into conversation. So.
And there was this really cool activity we did at the leadership thing about how to create a mission statement. So if it's something that you struggle with, which it was something that I did, because I often don't think about my own goals, I think about my goals for the library. It was a way for me just to start brainstorming, and I will include a link to that. So if you'd like to do that at home, you can click on the link below, and I will I'll give that to you because I think it's just a great thing, and you can share it then with your staff. And that's one thing my staff is doing this in October at our department meeting. Just an opportunity for me then to see what they're really passionate about, because some of them have passions, but they haven't really identified them
or
well.
Figured out how to use those within their position.
So I'm hoping that this will help us kind of become a stronger team, and that way I'm making sure that everybody is also working on themselves professionally as well as what they're doing in the library. So I think that's really important, and it's probably something you could really do with teenagers as well. I mean, as they're starting to think of college and hey, what would I like to do? Having them create that. I mean, there's dream boards and there's all those things people can do, but identifying that. You don't have to stick with this, but what are you really passionate about? And that might help them kind of, oh, maybe I should study this, or oh, I could try this, or I should go to this kind of a school. So very cool.
Great ideas.
Well, we would love to hear what your personal mission statement is, what you're passionate about, and what you bring to the library. And as always, leave your comments and questions below. We would love to hear from you, and we will see you next week. Bye. Hope this came out.
You kind of sounded at the end there like you had been running a marathon. Like you sound a little, I was like, wow, I'm like either just lethargic today or just like.
I'm leaving this all in.